Hello, and welcome to Still Digging, episode 4. Hello, and welcome. Once again, listening to myself on the other's side. But let's get that out of the way.
Got my name spelled wrong. Again.
Do I?
Yeah.
Do I really?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. This is a running gag for those of us who joined us last night on the Rituals and Rolls while we played Tomb of Annihilation, the video. You're supposed to be stalling, Tom, while I'm fixing your name.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Not just
Right.
staring at the screen.
Not just staring at the screen.
So
I'm used to there being more people handling this job.
You can maybe explain why it's only the two of us.
So Amma and Serra couldn't with us or couldn't join us this afternoon. Whatever time it is. So it's just gonna be me and Bill today. About things that we saw on Twitter for the most part. And maybe some Scott Walter dunking, just a little bit. Yeah. What else? I guess we can just jump in, right? So the most recent thing. Do we want to start with the most recent or the beginning of the week?
I guess we can do whatever we want to. And sort of begin talking. Hopefully we'll get some people to jump in. And we can begin expanding the conversation, especially since we've been forbidden to talk about a certain topic.
Yeah. Yeah. About that. Let's see. Thing that is fresh in my mind is the tech bros pretending they're inventing things. Hashtag. Or maybe it should be a hashtag. Because now it's at least two or three articles now that I've seen. Silicon Valley folks coming up with we should really study this thing. And one of them was definitely just like distance learning for professionals, which is a thing that exists. Night school, online classes.
Well, the one that was recently in the Atlantic was about proposing the idea for progress study, the science of progress.
Yeah. Which
I'm going to give an argument for it. Should I do that before or after we tear it apart?
Let's do the catharsis.
Okay.
You go first.
Well, the premise is based upon there has not been a comprehensive study of what they call progress, and as they define progress, it's more along the lines of change associated with technical evolution, the cultural, the economic, and changes associated with that. For instance, the Industrial Revolution, the dot-com revolution of the 90s and even into today, the birth of printing, sort of major technological changes, and how they lead into overall changing a society and a culture. And they were mentioning that there was sort of a lack of this kind of stuff, where in the late 19th century you had big millionaires, today's world they'd be billionaires, who funded things to create things like MIT and, as they put in their article, revitalized institutions such as Harvard and Yale and so forth. So where is this sort of investment of the philanthropic class to sort of boost this discussion of progress in our life.
Yeah, so that's the overarching theme that they're trying to go for. And they don't actually talk about funding too much in this specific article, do they? They're advocating for it. But they're trying to talk about is, or at least the way I read it, the thing. They're proposing a new field of study specifically on progress, which is a thing that anthropology studies, history studies, sociology studies, and I mean, there's a list of things. They all fit into this.
Tom.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna need to do a second for repair because your echo is making. Let's see. Something off to see if you wouldn't echo. Okay, let's try now.
And we're back. Okay. Oh, I'm still super echoey.
You're still super echoey, so that doesn't make a difference. So the problem then is with Skype. So, goodbye, Tom.
Oh man.
And I'll call you right back.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. This is now a solo show. At least for the men. All right. So let me try to give Tom a...
Hello?
You're not echoing.
That's good.
Don't do that.
Don't do it. All right.
One bit of good news. If we last night we were having trouble with our live chat showing up on our screen. It's there now. So
yeah, that is something.
All right. I have no idea because last night we had 2 people on Skype and we had no problems. Do I accidentally? Let me do a check here to make sure you're not on here twice.
That'd be weird.
No, you're only here once. And I'm not echoing.
Swing.
Any Skype experts out there who want to help us?
Pretty sure just us in here.
I don't know why. This is exciting content. Let's all go to the lobby. Not sure if that song's still copyright or not, so I don't want to sing it all. And then get ourselves a drink. Bam. All right. Hopefully in the podcast version of this, I'll be able to separate those tracks and isolate your audio. Otherwise, it'll be a 15-minute apology track that I put up explaining what they would have missed and didn't miss because we duplicated our sound over the place.
Yeah.
So where's your microphone in relation to you?
Right there. Just right there, next to my. I don't have an external. I don't have an external one in my. I only got the one in my. I can try to switch. To my headphones.
Because I'm wondering if it's like your distance from the mic.
I'm not sure how that because it's still like there's no mic in these. This is just ears.
I don't know. I'm muted on there, so we're not carrying over. So how about the debates last night? I would go ahead and try to switch your mic to see if it makes a thing. Right. In the meantime, I might read a few choice lines from the article from The Atlantic to sort of stall a little bit.
All right. I'm going to go grab those. Then. I'll be back.
Okay. So the title of the article in The Atlantic from July 30th is We Need a Science of Progress by Patrick Collinson and Tyler Cowan. So let me go with their definition of progress. The quote here directly from their article. Progress itself is understudy. By progress, we mean the combination of economics, technology, scientific, cultural, and organizational advancement that has transformed our lives and raised our standard of living over the past couple of centuries. For a number of reasons, there is no broad-based intellectual movement focused on understanding dynamics of progress or targeting the deeper goal of speeding it up. We believe that it deserves a dedicated field of study. We suggest inaugurating discipline of progress
Alright, is this any better? Nope.
Okay. So it's a good thing we're not live on the internet with 3 people watching. We have an audience now. We owe them content. All right, welcome. We're having a little audio difficulty with our first night using Skype on YouTube. We did it last night on Twitch, no problems at all. Tonight we're on Skype and we're echoing. So, Tom, why don't you go ahead and mute yourself and see if there's anything in Google that might explain what's going on. And I'll song and dance. So we've been talking about this article that came out this week in The Atlantic concerning the need for science of progress. We had just defined what the authors of this article, Patrick Collinson and Tyler Cowan, defined as progress. Progress being the combination of economic, technological, scientific, cultural, and organizational advancements that has transformed our lives and raised standard of living over the past couple of centuries. For a number of reasons, there are no broad-based intellectual movement focused on understanding the dynamics of progress or targeting deeper goal of speeding it up. And they suggest that something called progress studies should handle though. So, needless to say, those in the historic, anthropological, and the archaeological community have spent a good chunk of this week dunking on this idea. Specifically because one, that's what archaeology is. 2, there is industrial archaeology. 3, there is the history of science. 4, there is anthropology that just sort of studies it all. So it seems to fall into a pattern of Silicon entrepreneur who come up with an idea with a fancy name that describes something that already exists. It's like Lyft talking about, we have this larger vehicle that multiple people can transport on around a city, which other people would call a bus. Or Elon Musk inventing the tunnel with this underground device that cars could go and to cover distances that may be difficult otherwise. So it's not a thing. So they've been dunked on a lot on this, and deservedly so. So to be fair to them for a minute, there is a case to be made for what they're saying in principle, but in general they are wrong, and we'll get to that. And hopefully Tom, because you see Tom chewing at the bit over there on the side, wanting to get his word in, and hopefully that'll be soon. But the argument to be made why progress studies should exist or could exist is it is not unheard of to develop an interdisciplinary study to study a particular issue or subject in a manner that gives it a focus which is eluded that stuff in broader topics. I'm thinking of black studies, women studies, Native American study, where queer studies, where they have been. Sorry, I got distracted. Tom's trying to get back in. Okay. I'm hearing you. So where's this mic to make the mute supposed to be? Oh, I know what I can do. Alright, everybody. Hold on for just a moment while we fix our audio. Oh, hi, Amma. We're having audio problems. We'll be right back, but we're not going anywhere. And we're back, and hopefully Tom is back.
Maybe. I think I am.
There was no echo. Yay! So, actually, the final test is,
Hooray!
Are we echoing? We have to wait for the delay to come through. Has to travel around the world. It has to go to tomorrow.
Travel through time and into space.
Yes.
There are actually people in here though, which is good.
Which is cool. So where was I? Where was I previously on my rant?
I don't know. I was busy.
I was offering defense for progress study.
Oh, this is the part I actually wanted to hear.
How we have other interdisciplinary studies, such as women's studies, queer studies, black studies, which take an issue which maybe in its original broader things, such as history or economics, gets marginalized, and by having an interdisciplinary study allows a much broader focus to this particular issue. And you can make an argument, if you believed progress was a valid field of study, that you could take those pieces from economics, from anthropology, from history, from the sciences, and put them all together, from business, and bring them all in, and to study progress as a being. But this, now I'll do my flip. My problem with this is that reading this over treats progress as an ideology.
Yeah. That was actually right when my mic started getting annoyingly echoey. What I was trying to point out was there are some pretty major red flags that kind of pop up in their argument, like studying where and why progress happens. So they talk about let's see, the Greeks specifically, China, Middle East, Renaissance, Florence, and Industrial Revolution in Northern England. And then they use, where's the phrase? Oh, and then they use present day instances include places like Silicon Valley in software and Switzerland's Basel region in life sciences. But if you actually look at those historical examples, they didn't. The argument they use is that it elevated the standards of living for everyone in a comparative. So the sentence is, in each case, the discoveries that came to elevate standards of living for everyone arose in comparatively tiny geographic pockets of innovative effort. So what they're trying, which is dangerously close to social Darwinism, and also completely negates the actual image of what happened, which if you look at what is actually happening in Silicon Valley, the standards of living are not elevating for everyone. They're elevating for those people who are privileged. The Silicon Valley has one of the highest homelessness rates and poverty rates in the country, because it's not even poverty. It's just people are making a normal amount of money, but these huge tech companies are coming in and gentrifying those areas, and then nobody else, all the people who were living there before, can't live there anymore because they can't afford housing, they can't afford food, they can't afford transportation. So it's a very tricky way to start thinking about things. And then I'm in favor of trying to find a good way to apply all the research that, say, anthropology or women's studies or history or all these kind of interdisciplinary social sciences tend to create, specifically talking about like historical progression. But how do we then mark progress? What is progress? What is the metric for progress?
Well, I mean, the first premise problem is that progress, the idea of progress, that somehow it's very that social Darwinist idea that history is a continual upward climb, which is not. That's a particular cherry pick point of history. The other problem I really have, and it's probably the core problem with this, is that it takes these periods of technological innovation as causal to their particular areas rather than byproducts and effect of an area. It lacks context. The Industrial Revolution occurs because of the settling down of wars after the Napoleonic Wars in Europe, the revolutionaries of the middle of the century in Europe, the consolidation of nation state, the exploitation, the growth of colonialism, the grand age of colonialism of Europe in the late 19th century, the exploitation of the global South, the American Civil War sort of consolidating and temporarily putting aside the original sin of the United States, at least from an economic perspective.
But I think that still ties into what creates what they're referring to as progress. And the other thing that they throw in there is metrics for determining athletic talent. Which
did they get that far? I thought it was your other article.
No, it's the same article. I gotta find I'm trying to find the quote, so I'm not misquoting them because I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're here to give it a serious discussion. I mean, Twitter. Go to Twitter if you want to see the dunking. There's lots of dunking there.
There's a lot of dunking.
We want to take them seriously, and then tell them why they're wrong.
Yeah. Where did it go?
Well, you have the cherry.
There's work in they also refer to it as sportometrics, looking at which numerical variables predict athletic success. Which I did actually just recently find there's some genetic study related to.
So the psychometric literature investigates which test predicts success that area.
Yeah. Starts with imagine you want to know how to most effectively select and train the most talented students, which is actually I started a conversation with a guy who used some problematic language in reference to his culture not being a culture but being a race instead, and then attributing attributes like ambition and talent and certain other things, but he kept using race and genetics as an argument for progress, which that's the argument for genetics, or eugenics, which I think we've all decided is a bad idea. And I understand being proud of your heritage, and there's nothing wrong with that based on cultural values. And if anything else, the cultural values make it more impressive than being genetically advantaged or whatever, however you want to argue it. But he sent me some articles. One of them, apparently there is an article in Nature Genetics that was suggesting that there might be a connection between educational attainment. What's the word they use? Yeah. is educational attainment attached to certain uh, SNPs, which I had to look up because I don't know what an SNP is. It is, hold on. um, it is a single nucleotide polymorphism, which I believe is similar to a phenotype, but not the same thing. So basically, it's a marker for a specific trait, I think is probably a good way to put it. And there's another one that I found trying to get a better idea of what they were talking about. That was a discussion of specific genes, ACE and ACTN3. They're just gene markers that they don't really, those letters don't mean a whole lot to me at all. But they were markers for I think it was muscular endurance or something like that. Um, but that article, I actually could read the full article, and they actually have an ethical consideration section in there that's talking about we should not be doing the genetic screening to determine talent. It is just, having these gene markers might help you, or knowing that you have these gene markers might help you train differently, is all it was trying to argue. Not these genes make you a better athlete, which is the whole concept of talent and progress are very problematic when you're talking about biological determinism, uh, mm, which is uh, you know your body is determining your abilities, not your conditioning or your ability to work hard or something like that. Hmm. Very. Right. And this was also coming off of another article that got actually posted by Benjamin Netanyahu, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, about um, archaeological evidence or genetic evidence from an archaeological excavation claiming that um, Palestinians were not from that area. Um, but the thing you need to remember is genetics are difficult because genetics don't determine culture. One, or sorry, there's no correlation no, that's not the word I'm looking for. Genetics are not equal to culture or ethnicity. Um, and the other thing is, you know, ancient populations of people are not going to have the same genetic markers as modern uh, um, populations of people. They're going to change. That's just how that works. Mhm. It's bad. Yeah. Right. And I mean, I was going to say archaeology and science has been, I mean, since the concept of, like a codified method of science has been around, it has been used for political reasons. Um, and we need to remember as scientists and people who study science or just have an interest in science, um, any knowledge production and dissemination is political. No. In fact, they should. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. They actually there was something about him in a response to that tweet saying something about how the population that they were studying in the archaeological record for the site is actually not the same as the current population of Palestine. And it was it. I think that having that clarification was at least a step in the right direction. I have personal disagreements with some of the stuff that's going on in that situation. I'll leave that to a different venue. Right. No. Right. Right. So the one that I put up was the Smithsonian one. Um, no, I think that was the original one that he actually, or that Netanyahu actually posted was a lot more ambiguous about what it was being. There, and one of them, right? Yeah. So yeah, yeah. It was. I think the quote was "not my problem." Yeah. No, that was actually one of the co-authors of Across the Ice. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was just one of those like, oh, come on. You should know better than this. Um, but but a lot of yeah, And if you put forth a theory that gets hijacked, I think it's at least partially your problem to unhijack it. Yeah, not yeah. I have a coworker who says if the racists are on your side, you really need to reconsider your position. Womp womp. Can't do that. I have not watched any of the debates because I'm waiting until the field gets narrowed down to, less than a million. I don't care about the characters. The characters are a distraction. It's how we got in this mess in the first place. It is August 1st. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We do appreciate your work, Bill. Do that. Do that thing. Woo! Bum bum bum. Hold up, Bill. Apparently, you're not coming through. Give me a sec. Hold on. Nothing. Oh man, that was a lot of promo stuff that we missed. Oh, oh, good. Okay, we're streaming again. Yeah, you're still okay. So I don't know how much of that got cut. Um, the whole idea right now is so
Can
rituals
anybody
and
hear
roles,
me?
which at least I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, we're back. Okay.
We're back, and can everybody hear me?
Uh,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, you're broadcasting audio again.
All right, continue. Look
So
forward
I don't know how
to.
much.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Look forward to the video on demand of this episode, where hopefully I can fix some of the audio bugs, and you can actually hear us.
Yeah. Just to recap real quick, Rituals and Roles gameplay is starting on in the beginning of September. I don't know if we have do we have an actual date?
Not yet. We're waiting for Amon.
Okay. Yeah. Beginning of September is when gameplay is gonna start. Uh, Still digging is gonna be every other Thursday. And in between we're gonna try to do rituals and roles, just kind of hashing out some of our world stuff and character stuff and talking in between. And when gameplay starts, still digging is going to be half of what we're doing right now, and then the second half is going to be actually discussing the gameplay and kind of the topics that we're discussing in the gameplay, so you understand why we're doing what we're doing and what significance that has within archaeology and things like that.
Yeah. So, Still Digging will be live on YouTube every other Thursday. Ritual Rolls is live on Twitch, twitch.com/ArchaeoRPG, every other Thursday, beginning next Thursday. And this won't just be talking. We'll also be playing D&D video games while they talk about their characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But everything else, yeah, we're cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with all those technical difficulties and such, do we have another thing to talk about? This
I
is
have
the
a kind of
special. We're down 2 people, and what happened on Twitter this week?
yeah.
Episode.
I have a kind of cool career thing, kind of.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, anything to
so
avoid talking about Scott Walter is always a good thing.
yeah, I mean we dunk on him a lot, but he does make some silly mistakes. But anyway, so I don't. One second. I want to make sure this is actually what I want to see what is actually up. So there is a teaser website up already, I believe, or kind of just a work in progress website up right now. We're not ready to go live yet, and we're working on it to be going live, I think, in October. But
Okay, Tom, you froze up. So I hope that's a Skype issue. In the meantime, I will Song and
I think we're back.
dance. Your screen just froze up because we can't have anything go right tonight. Tonight is a night of Faye.
Am I back?
No, you're not moving.
Hold on. I'm gonna turn my video off.
Okay. All right. I
All right.
can see
I
you
turned my
on my
video off
Skype
on.
screen. Now let me go over to the stream, and it looks like you're still frozen. I think you're just a big old frozen head.
Super.
Hold on. There's one more thing I can do. Since you are streaming to me.
I'm just gonna turn the video off for now. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but I'm wondering if it's going through. So hold on. Go back to put your video back on. So I'm going to put you back into the scene real quick. There's your big old head. Now tinier.
All right. Is this?
Now
I don't know.
between. Okay, now you're back. You're back.
I'm back.
You're back.
I'm just in the middle, but that's okay. All right.
You'll get there eventually.
So what I am, where was I talking about? Okay, so when it goes up, the Virginia Archaeology Charitable Trust is going to be kind of a crowdfunding site for archaeology in Virginia. I think it's going to be really cool. We're still trying to get our ducks in a row before it goes live in a couple months. Hopefully in October, I think is our goal right now. And I think it'll be really cool when it goes up because it will let people help us get cool projects done that don't have to be, client oriented or regulation oriented or just research, because research is cool.
No, that sounds very cool. I mean, there's one of the things that's sort of been out with like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and stuff. Is like, where's that for archaeology? Where can we public and raise funds to do public project in archaeology?
Yes.
And
I think there's actually like a UK version of this.
Yeah, the UK. In the back catalog of the Archaeology Podcast Network, there was definitely a show about, but I forget which episode and which show.
Yeah, it's the hold on. It's not like is it through Dig Ventures or something like that?
It might be through the Dig Ventures.
Yes. Well, their website says, "Now's your chance. Crowdfund and volunteer for a dig."
Okay.
So I guess Dig Ventures is a crowdfunding thing. But this is once it's up, which is not yet, will be open to. You will have to have the archaeologist leading the site will have to have. Double check me on this once everything is actually up, but it will have to be Secretary of the Interior Standards archaeologist, and either be a COVA or RPA member, and the project has to be in Virginia for this specific site.
So with these projects, I mean, this is way too early, and here we are putting you on the interview things, but will these projects be initially subject to SHPO review? Like, will the SHPO have to give the green light before you move forward? That, if you can't answer that now, we'll wait for October and schedule. We'll see if your schedule is free in October. Maybe we can get you back on as a guest.
Yeah. Yeah. When once it's actually, I think I'm just kind of, this is a little bit of a teaser, but once it's actually up, which we're trying to be a little aggressive on the launch because we're already a little delayed, but we really want to get this up because we think it's a really cool project. Um, um, I will be plugging it as often as I possibly can um, on here, in addition to AITC stuff when that's going on. Um, so yeah.
Speaking of which, have we been on since the day of archaeology, or have you talked about day of archaeology?
I think I talked about it a little bit. Um,
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it.
yeah, no, it was crazy town hot. Um, so I got there, I think a little after 7:30, and I think I sweat through my clothes by 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I think it was like 90 something degrees with 100% humidity in the morning, and we actually had a weather quality warning for DC, and it was just dumb hot all day. um, but we actually had we I was spamming Twitter as much as I could to kind of get the word out. And we had a couple hundred people show up, so not a total loss.
That's good.
With not the numbers we wanted, but still pretty good for the weather that we were having. But there were coolers full of dry ice and cold towels and misters, and we had water stations all over the place, and a couple of the Veterans Curation Project people brought popsicles. So we survived. We survived it, and nobody passed out. So I'm counting it as a win. And I got one of my friends into the Montpelier teacher expedition project.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That's
like literally the last minute. I didn't see her for a while, and I didn't realize she had moved to the area. And she was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah. I'm a history teacher now, and I'm trying to work archaeology in my curriculum." And I was like, "Have you talked to Alex before? Because she's pretty cool, and she does exactly that."
Right. So that's
but
awesome.
yeah, so I introduced them, and she was like, "I've got a spot, but we're leaving tomorrow." And they worked it out. She made it in there. I have to go grab a beer with her and see how she liked it.
Nice. So before we talk about Scott Walter, we should always end every episode with dunking on Scott. Maybe even have now that we're moving on to sort of more elaborate setup that we have like right now. I can maybe get a graphic that come dunking on Scott. Do you want to talk about your other recent Twitter battle?
No.
Okay. We'll put that aside.
I mean,
we can let that one brew more. We can bring it up next time.
Well, we talked about it. But that was the whole kind of. There was some issues with themes of eugenics not being recognized as themes of eugenics. Was the whole issue. I don't want to put him on blast because I think what he was trying to say he just didn't have the right words for, or we were not communicating well. But there were definitely some concerning trends in the conversation.
Who we will put on blast is one Mr. Scott Walter.
Yeah, he's a public figure out here.
And I've, out of a masochist streak, because I have no reason to be doing this, have been
at least Serra does.
Yeah, at least it's what's her degree is based on. Now, to be fair, it kind of is her fault because I've been sitting in. Sorry about that. As we've been doing a few watches of the current season of America Unearthed, and we've been sort of dunking on him. So I've been kind of more curious about him and what he thinks and what makes him tick. So I've been reading Akhenaten. I should have practiced this beforehand. To the
Akhenaten?
Founding Fathers.
Hold on. Let me find the title again.
Akhenaten? Akhenaten.
Yes. Akhenaten.
To the Founding Fathers.
So King Tut's dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Mysteries of the Hooked X, which is the follow-up book to the Hooked X. So far, I'm still in the first third of the book. So it's more of a recap of... It's a weird book because it's sort of like, hey, let me catch you up on all the characters and things that happened in the last book before we start this adventure. And I'm almost a third of the way through. Like, Akhenaten has been mentioned once so far.
Does he at least talk about like
I'm in like
Egypt?
chapter 3.
Is he talking about Egypt at least?
No. We're discussing the Kensington runestones.
Ugh.
How do I get up my highlights? I want to jump right to my... So yeah, no, we're jumping right into the old Templars, Kensington runestones. Well, these are the popular highlights. I want my highlights.
Well, I mean,
now
it's always good when you hermetic mysteries and all that, right?
Like, there's an entire chapter sort of following up on the characters behind the Kensington runestone, going back to the small town in Minnesota and who the different families are.
In Minnesota? For the
Kensington runestones.
Yeah.
And the different families and sort of the chain of custody of the stones after their discovery, and explaining these characters and who may have known more than others. I'm gonna have to go flip through. Something like Muriel's great uncle probably took this picture between 1910 and 1950. So, if you wanted to study the Kensington runestone as a mythological study and study the characters involved in the story and the evolution of story, it's a partially good resource. Except he takes out even the contemporary criticisms of this that were still evident during the first generation.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's common for pseudoarchaeology just cherry pick stuff like this. I was talking to our the state archaeology database manager, and she was telling me about some issues she was having with these, like, they're sites that were recorded as stone piles from like the 70s and 80s, I think. And there was this person who had this theory that they were supposed to be lined up with constellations or something like that, and they were just like picking the ones that made the shapes they wanted and ignoring half of the sites that were recorded this way. So, and it's a problem. You can't pick your evidence. You get the whole data set. You don't get parts of the data set.
Right. I mean, like, here's in 1910, a museum in Minnesota sent a renowned geologist, Newton W. Winchell, to examine the Kensington runestones. Mm-hmm. In December of 1910, Winchell concluded, quote, "The said stone is not a modern forgery and must be accepted as a genuine record of an exploration in Minnesota as the date states in the inscription." Case closed. We're done. Why are we even talking about this?
Because linguistics in context.
Yeah, this is a geologist looking at a stone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stone.
Yep. That sure is a rock with some scratches on it. I mean, yeah. I have made my position clear on this a couple of times.
We get into the Mason, which we're heavy into the Masonic.
I still can't figure out what the connection is.
Between the Templars, the Masonics, and these Northern Europeans who are using runic language.
Okay, here, maybe you can answer this question for me, because every time I see it, it's always something something Templars, something something Masons, Vikings. There's no connection.
You want me to read just my next quote? Why did these men want to erect such an obvious and massive Masonic symbol for what, at that time, everybody was calling a Viking artifact? So,
what?
The Kensington runestone, because its runes on it, was considered to be a Viking artifact.
Okay.
Scott is trying to make the argument that this is a Templar artifact, and the people who wanted to build a monument over the site where it was discovered wanted to put sort of an obelisk type of Masonic type of...
Okay. Does he present any evidence for why the Viking artifact is now a Templar artifact?
Because it's a land deed, and the dating that he's put on it is 15th century, sort of about 80 years before Columbus.
Okay, but isn't the date on the runestone like 13 something?
You're gonna make me find the page where it's on there, but this ties in closer to when a story he has of Templars being chased out of somewhere in Central Europe, and the natural spot for them is that they aren't disbanded, they travel to the New World, to the Americas. I gotta remember, that is my thing for the summer, is to take out the term New World of my vocabulary.
Yeah. So, so the year on it is 1362.
Then there's something to do with the golden ratio.
I mean, sure.
And then there's some letters on here, which could be an AVM or an AUM, which could talk about the Magi. And
I think the Templars are supposed to have been disbanded in 1312. The date on this is 1362.
Now you're seeing. That's why we're cooking with gas.
Do we have any idea when the Freemasons were founded?
Whenever it's convenient.
Fair enough.
Then there's the whole hooked X.
Right.
Where's my favorite quote? I'm going to find my favorite quote.
Oldest known work for Masons is between 1390 and 1425. So there's about a 50-year gap in between each of these.
Well, you got to get the boats together, get the charts in place, the logistics
53. Anyway, but like there's no like, it's just so bad.
We got this. We're back to Newport. You know, it's all as great as hits.
That one's really annoying
so far in
because
this book.
that one was really annoying because there's real archaeology that was done on it, and I haven't gotten around to actually like contacting the city of Newport to try to get the article. But I did go as far as finding one of the PIs on it, and contacting them like, hey, do you have a copy of this? And she pointed me to the city of Newport.
Let me leave you with this last quote. You can have an aneurysm, and we can go ahead and close down the show for today.
Cool.
Quote: as a licensed geologist in the state of Minnesota, I must conduct myself with certain professional and ethical standards. If I violate those or perform substandard work, complaints can be filed and I will lose my license to practice my profession. What accountability do academia have? I sometimes worry the answer to no one. Boom.
He actually used that argument on me. He was trying to claim that I had no accountability in the work that I do. So for those not familiar with this cultural resource management process, generally speaking, you have to have a scope of work approved by whatever municipality and your client. And then depending on what regulation you're working under, federal regulations, there is a state agency that has to review it. If I'm writing the project, my department manager reviews it, and then whatever agency reviews it, and sometimes also the county reviews it. I am also a member of the RPA, so if I have any ethical violations, you can find me on there and file a grievance. And there's no licenses in archaeology, and there are hacks out there, but most of us try to do a good job and at least to pretend that we're scientists.
The other problem with his argument there is everything he purports does not put his professional geologist reputation in stake because he's not doing that work. He's stepping into someone else's field.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody know what his day job is?
He's a forensic geologist. That's
his day job?
Yeah. He's got a whole company and everything. There's a website and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah. But it's... Yeah, so, I mean, we're dunking on him. He's an easy target. But this is the kind of woo that sort of gets out there in the public discourse. And on a one level, it kind of makes sense, especially if I frame the argument in this way. I'm talking to you about all this stuff, and I'm accountable. I'm a licensed, I'm a blue collar guy. I'm a licensed blue collar, just like your plumber and anywhere else. If I do my work wrong, I lose my license, which means I lose my livelihood. Those academics, and I'm assuming I'm talking to an audience that has no interaction with them, has ever met one. Who are they exactly accountable to? Who do you trust?
Boards.
Me here giving you truths? Or somebody out in the big city who's never showered at night? Those
Hold
of
on.
us...
Did you just say showered at night?
Showered at night. Sort of a blue collar type of affectation you're trying to put on. Real workers are those who shower at night.
I mean, I don't disagree with that sentiment, but
we resemble that remark, Mark.
I sure do. Oh man. Oh right. Man. We got a lot of work to do.
So, I think we talking about as archaeologists, as
yes.
YouTube Content creators.
Both? All of the above?
All of the above.
I think we figured out some of the bugs this time around. So hopefully the next go will be smoother.
I hope it's somewhat workable. Like right now, I still have an echo in my ear of myself.
Right. But I think that's just the monitor.
Yeah.
So it's not coming out on the stream.
So that's sort of why I'm talking with a certain affectation tonight. Because I keep getting interrupted by myself. Right. But anyway, enough about our gripes. I hope you enjoyed us this evening. Please send a comment below or message any of us, or at ArchaeoRPG if you want to tell us the two host thing is cool, you guys suck, get the ladies back on,
we need
get
an
off
adult.
the internet,
I'm gonna come
never
back.
go away. Boo, you stink.
Yeah.
Scott Walter is my best friend, and I don't appreciate talking about it that way.
Yeah.
Whatever the comment is, please give us a comment.
We are definitely open to topics of discussion, and you should talk more about this. You should talk less about that. Things like that. We are open to criticism. We are still kind of in our infant stage for this, so we're trying to make it good. So let us know what works and what's not.
We are ready to believe you. I still need a good sign off for Still Digging. Oh yeah, if you listen to our podcast, please subscribe. We're on Apple and all the other podcast catchers. Look for Still Digging, and on that, episode 2 of the podcast will be coming out next Thursday. So keep an ear out for that. Subscribe today. Where I try to clean up the audio and other things to make it sound a little better. But the tagline I've been using on that, I will try this. And keep digging. Till next time. Bye.
Yeah.